Hello and welcome to another week of Gran Turismo sport races. This week is on Fuji once again, but this time it's Group 1 rather than Group 3, and this is a part of the Nations Cup, instead of the Manufacturers Series. And you can see me turning on the information to make my job doing this a lot easier. I qualified 11th. I'm not amazing at qualifying. My main goal is usually just get an acceptable time and then perform during the actual race, because I usually do a good job of keeping things together and not doing anything too crazy. But as you'll see in this race, there is a little chaos and a little drama surrounding me. So pretty standard first corner. No one goes too far off. No one breaks too late. This is a sportsmanship rank S race, so I think most of the people who are here know what they're doing. It gets a bit wild in the back of the pack because it's a bunch of people who don't think they deserve to be there, which results in a lot of aggression and whatever. Yeah, you can see, if you watch the last race, you can see that corner is kind of a specialty of mine. I really tend to close the door on a lot of people there, and sometimes it's cleaner than other times, and that time was not one of those times, but it's still, you can see me working up from 11th, trying to, kick and scream for any place I can possibly get at this point. But I'm still trying to be as clean as possible. This race is definitely not one of my cleanest, I will admit that right now. I do some dirty stuff, but it's all racing. It's hard to explain. It's kind of like when people complain about modern Formula 1 racing, how there's no bumping and grinding because everyone's afraid of getting penalties, and how they wish there was quote-unquote real racing. I think there is a lot of quote-unquote real racing. I mean, you get the guy in fourth cutting me off on the straight, which is a pretty unsportsmanlike move no matter who you are. That's not exactly real racing, but so I didn't appreciate that, but I managed to. I think I squeezed past that guy. And yeah, 5th place is pretty much where I'll kind of make my home. I mean, I'm in 4th place right now, but don't want to get ahead of myself, I guess. Yeah, it's tough in Group 1 doing this as compared to Group 3, because your braking points are a lot different than they would be in Group 3. You kind of have to push things a lot harder. You have to mind your sides a lot more, because people are coming into corners much faster than they would in Group 3. And also with the Porsche 919, which is what I'm using, when you're in 2nd gear, you get a huge boost of speed and you don't have a lot of traction on your wheels, so you really have to learn how to take advantage of manual gear shifting in order to really have a clean and technical race that you can get some speed boosts in certain parts. You have to know when is the right time to bump it up to 2nd gear, or even like when you're braking, maybe I should stay in 2nd gear so I don't get that huge boost going from 1st to 2nd, or stay in 3rd so I just avoid it entirely. Just get the clearance. This is all raw. This is just me sitting down on a nice cool day, just talking about this race on the track with the longest straight in the game, I believe, other than Le Mans without the chicanes, which a lot of people appreciate in the lobbies, because a lot of people like the drag race. Yeah, see, there's where it kind of all comes undone. And damage is turned on, so I will be dealing with a busted up car. And so I just this lap is almost just damage control, just how much time can I save? I don't think I damaged my car too much to the point where it affected my overall speed. But I was definitely noticing in the controls, my car was veering in different directions I had to compensate for the damage a little bit. And luckily I was helped out by other people making mistakes, because at this point in the race, maybe not yet, but tires are definitely starting to degrade a little bit. You definitely can't push as hard as you could with brand new fresh tires. In this race, you see people, and you also see people getting really competitive and overshooting breakpoints and whatever, and not really judging apexes correctly, and which I am guilty of in this race. There are a few corners I bungled, but overall I'm satisfied with the race result, or else I wouldn't have been showing this video. Had a kind of a crappy championship week last week. This was the Saturday race. Wednesday was just a bust for me. So, and Saturday ended up going pretty well. I advanced a few places on the championship leaderboards. I believe I'm in the top 100 in the Americas for the Nations Cup. I can't keep saying Nations. I want to say National Cup, but it's the Nations Cup. And I'm still the best player in my state, which feels good. Man, I love that first corner so much. There's so many different ways you can do that corner. There's so many. You'll see later on in the race when it gets pretty heated. There's so many different ways you can attack that corner when you're surrounded by different people. With the early or the normal apex and the late apex going wide and then narrow, or trying to stay on the inside to defend off any defenders. I feel like I've already said everything there is to say about this track in the last video, which is why I was a little hesitant to make another video using Fuji, but this is the best race I had this week from a personal viewpoint. If I didn't have any championship races, I probably would have just posted a sport race or something. It's not very often that you get really nice races, and it's not very often that you have a really good start, you gain a lot of positions and work your way all the way up to 4th, and then you drop all the way back to 10th, and all of a sudden you have a lot of work to do. And as you will see, that I actually succeed in reclaiming a lot of those lost positions. So, because I was content at this point in the race, I was content with 10th because I started in 11th. I said, well, I was just thinking to myself, at least I gained a position. You know, it's better than just sticking at 11th or dropping all the way back to wherever. But yeah, I was really satisfied. At this point in the race, I was just satisfied with being 10th, so I kind of got into my own head, just kind of ran my own race, and naturally caught up to the rest of the drivers, which felt really good because it put me in contention again. And also, the pit strategy is a huge thing in this race, which is why I wasn't too upset about spinning off, because I knew I was going to be swapping to medium tires anyway later in the race. So that's why I was really happy when I found out that my car didn't take any serious damage, so I could keep going at a pretty solid pace. I was even more satisfied when I was catching up to people even with my damaged car, and that's when I knew when I swap to mediums and my car is fixed, then I'll really be able to be a monster on this track. Because if I'm catching up to people now, then imagine what I can do and with fresher tires and a repaired body. Man, these corners, I never get tired of these corners. They're so technically difficult because there's so many apexes that you can possibly take. And so that's, I think, where I gained a lot of my time, was on these corners, because I was just more familiar with how to take them. And as you'll see, I don't always execute the entries and exits perfectly, but on average, I think lap to lap, I use those corners much better than most of the people on the track. But yeah, this is kind of a weird mental battle with myself right now, because I'm not in the direct vicinity of any cars. I'm not under threat of a car behind me, and I'm not exactly closing in an overtaking position on the car in front of me. So that's where I think I actually end up. I'm not sure if I do it on these tires. No, I can't because I'm losing time. I mean, maybe. It's either on these tires or when I swap to mediums. I actually managed to get within about a millisecond of the fastest lap time, even though I wasn't really up in the lead, which felt really reassuring as someone who was trying to catch up with the rest of the pack, because I knew if I'm this close to the fastest lap time, then that has to mean I'm doing something right. I highly doubt I'm doing it on these worn tires. My overall sector time is down, but I'm managing to use the track effectively. You can kind of initial D some parts of this track. There's a trick in initial D that the main character uses with his car, where he puts the one side of his car into the wheels on one side of his car into a gutter, and it propels him forward, so he doesn't need to use as much braking. And you can actually use that with the curbs on this track too, I've noticed, even with a Group 1 car. And so I tend to use that to my advantage. Oh, I'm really pitting here, huh? I thought I'd pit later. I think even when I was pitting, I didn't realize what lap it was. Or yeah, I am switch. So maybe I did. I thought I swapped to mediums, but maybe I did stay on hards because when I was recording this, I saw in the HUD that I'm using hards, but I could have sworn in the moment I chose mediums. But maybe that's, oh yeah, things get a little dirty there. I wanted my position back because I was in the pits for longer because I needed to repair damage, so I was pretty eager to get that position back. But regardless of whether they were hard tires or medium, the fact is that I had fresher tires, so I could overall run a much faster race, and my car was repaired. But unfortunately, that repair does not last for incredibly long. Once I start making my way up to the top of the pack, I get some damage, which was unfortunate, but it affects my race. It affected my race in the sense that I had a constant, like, my car was constantly veering to, I think, the right. Yeah, I think it was, I remember I was veering to the right, so it was just a matter of compensating for that and the overall loss of speed of just trying to, you know, counter that. But I managed to, for better or worse, even though it's not the cleanest victory, it was still one that I was proud of because it really furthered my overall rank in the Nations Cup. I said it right this time. Okay, so we're on the main straight. Oh yeah, and a huge thing on Fuji is towing. And towing, if you're not familiar, is drafting. It's when you're behind a car and that car is feeding off of the airflow coming off of your car's aerodynamics, and they get a very natural speed boost. They call it drafting, or in Formula 1 they call it towing. And so you can really take advantage of that, or be taken advantage of with that idea. Yeah, me and this guy we go wheel to wheel pretty often in this battle. I run a really good lap here. You can see I'm really hugging the inside. I even kind of felt my wheels go off the track and do the initial D gutter trick a little bit on that corner, which felt really good. I could feel that increase in traction and speed, which you really need. People don't really take the inside line on that corner because it doesn't give them a great braking. Like, it doesn't really lead into the braking very naturally. You kind of have to brake while steering if you take the inside of that corner, but if you manage to do it right, you just go way more faster than anyone else to that sector. Yeah, right here it's all just managing these corners. Yeah, see there you can really tell. You saw that, using the inside of the curb to my advantage. And I'm really catching up to this guy. Yeah, I think that was the time right there. That was only about a millisecond off of what was at the time the fastest lap. So that's when I knew, you know, things were going all right. Oh yeah, and I boxed that. I get really sloppy later in the race because I do eventually take damage, and so you're fighting the loss of traction from your tires degrading. You're fighting your car's damage. And yeah, sometimes you just eke out a victory. And it's not that I win, it's just a personal victory, I should say. I'm still not the best at shifting, because I use manual because it comes in handy, because you can find what gear is best when you're entering and exiting a corner. That's really all it's for. But I still haven't really mastered the art of the downshift, or even like I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I'm just doing what doesn't make the car make bad noises when I do it. So yeah, and that last corner wasn't very great, but I get the tow off of the Mazda in front of me. You can see I'm catching up. And it cuts to another angle, and it looks like I'm way farther behind it than actually feels like I am. Oh, that was a great corner. That was a great corner. didn't even touch the curb, which can be done strategically. A lot of Formula 1 drivers use the curbs a lot, but that's just because they're going so fast they need to use every inch of the track available. Whereas here it's more just about finding the best racing line rather than the racing line. Oh yeah, this is a good battle. See, that was a good move from the Mazda right there. But overall, you see right here, I take the inside, and all of a sudden I'm right next to him, braking, and I take it. Ooh, oh, maybe not. I get ahead of him a little bit. He really wants that 8th place. Oh, those car noises. I think here is where I take damage. Or unless I already did. No. Yep, right there. Yep, you see it. I think he took damage too because he went way wide on there. I don't know. I don't even know what really happened there. I think it was just racing incident. Just both of us messed up at the same time and bumped into each other, and I came out of it more okay than he did. Yeah, I was lucky here. The guy in front of me still needed a pit, so that just default put me in 7th. Yeah, you can see I'm struggling, trying to maintain a straight line. Just listen to that. And I make really good progress from here on out. Despite the injury to the car, I still managed to catch up to the people in front of me. That Porsche 919 is just a thing of beauty. I think it really has to do with that second gear speed boost you get just from... You just get so much speed coming out of first gear that you just have to go in a straight line. And yeah, it just comes in so much handy in certain points. It's kind of the meta pick for this track and a lot of other tracks. This Peugeot, I think that's a Peugeot. I'm not super familiar with the Group 1 cars, but I've seen that the Peugeot Group 1 is also kind of a meta pick. And the Mazda is really good too. It's a lot easier to drive, and it's really fast on straights. And the Bugatti VGT Group 1 car is really good on more technical, well, not technical tracks, but tracks that don't have a lot of long straights like these. I've seen that the Bugatti tends to do well on. Yeah, I'm not trying to go crazy. You can see at this point my tires are degrading, so this is where I'm kind of fighting all the elements, trying to maintain the best racing line while also managing tire deg, while also managing a disabled car. And do I come in here? Oh man, yeah, he went wide on that. That was like the best possible line I could have taken there. The inside braking and the inside on the exit. That was just textbook. I scraped the dirt a little bit, but the good dirt. I wanted to say grass, but I meant to say dirt, so both came out. And that's the thing, there's only 13 laps, which feels like a long race, because it's about a 20-minute race, but you don't have time to just sit behind a car and wait for the perfect opportunity for a clean overtake. You just have to fight for every position and get one as soon as you possibly can. Oh yeah, this guy. You can see him, he was really trying to figure out a way to pass me on that corner. But the thing is, in Formula 1 races have much more time, so you see a lot of Formula 1 cars, they tend to stick behind cars for a lot longer until they find the perfect moment, and so they can overtake without, potentially wrecking another car or themselves. Oof, yeah, I think that was his fault because I went in and he turned too soon. I think he knew I was coming through, but he just Yeah, turned into me a little too quickly. And here, yeah. It's just, I am freaking out. I'm in 5th place. I'm a happy boy. I managed to come back from what should have been a DNF, effectively, for my race. Oh, and here it gets wild because the tire degradation is really hitting me. The car damage is really hitting me. And so I'm getting really sloppy here, which gave the guy in 6th a lot of time on me, which results... And I have a terrible corner right here. I go so wide and I go off, and so that gave him a huge advantage. And then I do something. I am just desperate for this position, so I maybe get a little more aggressive. But he returns it right here. But I end up just a few milliseconds ahead of him and take 5th place. Wasn't the cleanest 5th place, but it's a 5th place I'll take. And I hope if you watch that you don't judge me too much. I'm still in Sportsmanship rank S, so it obviously didn't hurt me too bad. You know, it's a digital world, and people fight for positions like that. If it was in real life, I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have been pretty frustrated with myself for botching that final corner, but hey. And yeah, that's the race, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.